By now, we all know Spider-Man has joined the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Stick around, I'll let you know which Marvel characters I think will join the Spider-Man universe and which Spider-Man characters will join the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So stay tuned. Hey there, Internet, it's Greg from Movieverse here today to talk to you about which Marvel characters I think will be joining the Spider-Man universe and which Spider-Man characters will join the Marvel universe. So to start it off, I'm going to come out and say that you will not see Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, any of those characters in the standalone Spider-Man movies. However, there are still plenty of Marvel characters that would join the Spider-Man movie, starting off with Stark Industries. They're a multinational company with a whole bunch of science research and biological research that is done. It would not surprise me at all to see that they have an office in New York. It could be just something as simple as just a building cameo where you see Spider-Man swing through New York and you see, a Stark Industries building, as he swings by. If they do put a character to Stark Industries that interacts with Spider-Man, I think it would be Maria Hill. At the end of Captain America: Winter Soldier and reference in Marvel's Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. that Maria Hill does work for Stark Industries. So she would be kind of a go-between between Iron Man and the Avengers and Spider-Man. The other character that I would be surprised that isn't in there would be Thanos. I mean, he is your overarching villain of the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe. I would expect him to have his hands in what goes on in the Spider-Man universe as well. The other really probable characters that would join would be the Defenders, which are Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Daredevil, which are all of those series that Marvel's producing for Netflix. Because all of those characters, one, are involved in the Civil War comics heavily. They're all based in New York, and they all do have several crossover villains with Spider-Man. Also, it would be a way to get additional publicity for the Netflix shows, which, yes, House of Cards is, very popular, but a lot of their other original programming isn't necessarily that well regarded. So if you put them in a Spider-Man movie, which is going to do well, that does nothing but increase the draw of those series on Netflix. One of those villains that I would expect to see in a Spider-Man movie would be Kingpin. Now, he's known as a Daredevil villain primarily, but there are a lot of comics and in the cartoons where Kingpin faced off against Spider-Man. Now, I don't think he would ever be the primary standalone villain in a Spider-Man movie, but as a secondary villain or like one of those behind-the-scenes type villains would definitely work. And Kingpin is also the villain to another character whose first appearance was in a Spider-Man comic, and that would be the Punisher. Now, Punisher hasn't really been doing anything for a while, and doesn't seem to be likely to be doing anything coming up. So that would be an easy way to kind of keep Punisher relevant without the full money and resource commitment of making a movie or a television series. Now, the next couple of Marvel characters are a little more of a stretch. One of them would be Miss Marvel and Carol Danvers. I mean, she's worked with Spider-Man before on certain storylines, and she's also worked for an offshoot of the Daily Bugle. Now, I'll tell a little bit that at least the recent rumors are pointing that the Spider-Man we see in the Sony and Marvel movies is not going to be Peter Parker. So that may kind of dissuade that a little bit. The other one would be a little iffy would be Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange's earthly realm is in New York, and the Doctor Strange movie has said they're not really going to focus on his origin. So it'd be a easy way to kind of show Doctor Strange as before he gets his powers, just as a everyday surgeon, and then we let his own standalone movie show you how he gets his powers. And the other one, more just to kind of keep him relevant and get more movies out of Mark Ruffalo, would be Bruce Banner. Now, no real significant storylines that I know of or anything like that, but just more to kind of keep Bruce Banner there in everybody's mind. Now, on Spider-Man's side of things, we know he will be in an upcoming Marvel movie, most likely Civil War, before a standalone movie in 2017. There are times for, there's still time for, something like an Oscorp to show up in a fleeing scene, or you have Norman Osborn being like a talking piece, and talking about some kind of incident that has happened. Now, I do not think Green Goblin or any of the Goblins will show up in the in a Marvel movie. That would just be Norman Osborn as CEO of Oscorp. Also, kind of similar lines, the Roxxon energy company or oil company, depending on which storyline. We've seen Roxxon show up in Agent Carter, in S.H.I.E.L.D. It's kind of also shown in Iron Man 3. It's kind of just this kind of pervasive company that's kind of up to the shady side of legal. Also, next one are Dr. Kirk Connors, who becomes Lizard, and also Dr. Octavius or Doc Ock. Both of those guys kind of feel like they would fit into scientists on S.H.I.E.L.D. or Stark Industries, even Hydra. I think Doc Ock more on the Hydra side, Kirk Connors more on either S.H.I.E.L.D. or Stark Industries. Then I think the Marvel movies would be a good way of introducing or showing the origins of a lot of the Spider-Man villains. That way, when the villain shows up in the Spider-Man movies, we can focus on how much of a badass those villains are. Something like Venom could be a result of something that happens to the either to or because of what happens or what the Guardians of the Galaxy do, and ends up making its way to Earth. Rhino could be a Stark Industries prototype if they go the way of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's an exosuit, or it could be a Hydra, biological experimentation. Same way with Electro and Sandman could be human scientific studies, or they could also be in humans as well. You could go that way as well. Also, you'd probably see, at least any scene in New York, you'll probably see the Daily Bugle, or you'll see, a Daily Bugle newspaper that someone's reading. And then, kind of, the other one, that if they do use Peter Parker as their Spider-Man, you can also see, Richard and Mary Parker's parents show up, in a flashback or something as, S.H.I.E.L.D. scientists, or also working for Stark Industries. But like I said earlier, given the kind of rumors on who Spider-Man's going to be in these new movies, those two seem like they'll be a little bit less likely to happen. And I said earlier that Spider-Man most likely will show up in Civil War, given his importance to that storyline and just the time frame of when when that all will happen. But the press announcements when they made that never mentioned how many movies Spider-Man would show up in. So it could be possible that Spider-Man could also show up in Doctor Strange. I think it would be unlikely that he would show up in Black Panther, given that Black Panther, pretty much stays in Africa and doesn't really come out much. But I would also think that he could show up in Ms. Marvel, given kind of mentioned before, like they've had dealings with each other before. I really doubt, or pretty sure he would not show up in Guardians of the Galaxy, given that they're on the other side of the galaxy. But he, as a Thor, depending on Thor Ragnarok, depending on if that just stays on Asgard or if it does, influence, or if things happen to the 9 realms, he may show up there in that sense. But I would put that on the less likely chance. Which then also, very likely he would show up in the Avengers Infinity War, either one or both of those movies. So, also probably he would also have another standalone movie, either kind of leading into Infinity War or probably more likely coming out of it. So those are the characters that I think you could see crossover. If you think I left something out, let me know in the comments. Also, whether or not you like this video or not, give it a thumbs up, give me some comments. Check out some of the other videos we have on the channel. If you like those, then go ahead and subscribe. We'll be trying to do more videos more regularly. So make sure you guys check back. Bye, Internet.